Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We are Modern Musings. I'm Amber Jones, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Kristen Blakely and Cindy Murray.
Hello.
And we are three women who like to talk about everything.
Everywhere. All at once.
Right.
So,
in multiple
yeah.
directions.
So, last week we talked about mind magic, okay? And then this week we're talking about emergency prep. So, those are like two completely different.
Right. So let's put our hypervigilance hats back on.
Right.
We're not trying. We are not trying to
Panic mode.
panic. Yeah, right. So,
Well, I mean, the times are times, and I feel like there's always something happening where you think that you're prepared and then you're not prepared.
right.
For example, COVID.
Oh yeah.
And then, like with the toilet paper situation, like
We thought we were prepared, right? And the time after that was the Snowmageddon.
Yes,
Mhm.
It
that
may
was
not have
and-
happened
and
in
that was
everyone's
the-
area, but
yeah.
it definitely hit us. We
Well,
were
I called it
underprepared.
Snowvid, but
Yeah.
and that is what got me. Like I thought that I was a prepared person. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Candles, flashlights, portable charger, whatever. But like Snowvid happened at such a weird time in my life. I was mid-divorce. I was broke from being mid-divorce and succubus ex-husband or incubus, whatever. I had no money. I was scraping by. I was selling stuff to make money. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have like a fully functioning working car or any of those things. So I didn't have extra stuff around my house
Mhm.
when Snowvid hit. And the big thing was we were on a boil order out in Denton. And we were only having an hour of power every 3 hours, I
Oh,
think.
you got more than we got.
Or I don't know. It was like, or maybe it was
Intermittent power, yeah.
every 5 hours. I don't know, but it wasn't long enough for me to boil water for the animals and myself on an electric stove. So it was just kind of a situation where like I didn't have bottles of water sitting around. Whatever I had, I used to give to my animals.
Number one prep rule. What is
Yeah.
it? 3 gallons of water per person for 3
Yeah,
days.
and I did, and
Or
I
something
didn't
like
have.
that.
I had like
Yeah.
maybe $1
Yeah.
to my name. I had no money, no food. I had some canned food, that you'd have to open whenever because I didn't have. Well,
You probably
I
only had an electric can opener too, didn't
no,
you?
I had a manual can opener, but it's hard for me to use with my carpal tunnel.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
So
That's all I have. So
yeah, and so those are really hard for me to use with my carpal tunnel. So I had one, but it's kind of like it takes like an hour for me to get it open or something like that. It's
you don't have the right can opener. That's the problem.
I don't know what that was I don't know what I had back in 2021.
I don't
but-
even know where I
but-
was in 2021. No.
and it's like I know that like at some point in that time I passed out due to lack of water.
Ooh.
And I was by myself in the middle of like a snowstorm. I had made chili before they started doing the rolling blackouts, and I'd made enough, for several meals. So it wasn't that I didn't have food, and like it kept cold in the refrigerator or whatever because it was freaking freezing outside, like
Right.
negative whatever. But I didn't have enough water. I had, and I thought I had enough candles, which I did. Like, I literally used every candle I owned during that point. And like, I would have to, and I didn't have any gas in my car because I was broke. I had like $1 or maybe or negative bank account. I don't know. And I was having to like go out to my car, and charge my phone. But it was hard for me to keep my car on because I didn't have any gas.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just a crazy situation. And I remember I had a friend at the time named Nick, and he lived in Irving. And I told him that I didn't have any water, and he drove this big Jeep that, drove through the snow, and he like got me a couple of cases of water
Mm-hmm.
and drove them all the way out to Denton for me.
Wow.
And like, when he arrived at my house, I was passed out. I'm glad I left. And
it's a good thing you left. You gave
Yeah.
him that message because you probably would have died.
yeah,
Yeah.
when he arrived, I was passed out. He, got me, woke me up and like gave me some water, and everything was fine. I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. But I had like fainted, and I was laying on my living room floor when he got there.
Wow.
Yeah. Nowhere near a heater. It was like freezing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just crazy. And that kind of like, that Snowvid thing kind of gave me PTSD. So where I always have cases of water
Mm-hmm.
stuck and bought and gallons of water everywhere in my house, no matter what situation I had. Because of that, I have like batteries and portable chargers ready to go. I have like a survival bag. I have a closet full of candles, a bunch of different flashlights stashed around my house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am a bunch of canned goods. I am over prepared.
Do you
Well,
think?
I
Yeah.
think exactly.
Yeah.
And until that happens again, you never really know. Like, you think you're
Right.
prepared, and then you never
Well, you
really
can't
know.
You can't prepare for every eventuality. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So the best, I mean, other than having, water, food, shelter, those things, the best thing you can be prepared for is to face the fact that you're not prepared and be willing to adapt or
Yeah, you'll never
figure
be
things out.
like, there are always going to be really weird situations. Like, nobody thought that the Snowvid thing was going to be that bad because it's Texas.
Right.
And I have, there was like a bad snowstorm like 10 years before that where like my car got stuck and I couldn't leave my house, but I had enough food and everything was fine. But, there was at the time, it wasn't rolling blackouts
Right.
like it was.
Well, and I mean, we've had snow here. We have snow here, but for our listeners who don't live in the North Texas area, to give a little explanation here, we're in a place where in December we're often still wearing shorts and flip flops. It'll get colder faster, and then we'll have like snow maybe in February or late January.
Yeah, and it usually doesn't even stick.
No, it's
Yeah.
very light, and it might not even really be snow. It might just be sleet, like little ice pellets. So we really don't. But we had lots of snow. It was super, super cold. The temperature was very low. I don't remember what it was, but we are not on a shared electric grid with any other part of the country. It is a closed grid. And so when it goes down, and we don't get power from anywhere else. And so we had, like you said, rolling blackouts. I don't know. It was mostly blacked out entirely the whole time.
That's the way ours was. It would just randomly pop on. And
It would pop on.
really
It would stay
short.
It would stay about 20 minutes
yeah,
or
you
something.
were like, oh, what do I do? It's like it's back on.
Yeah.
And then by the time you figure out like what you're gonna do, like should I take a shower or do I cook something or do I charge something? It's already turned off.
And we were very fortunate. We have gas water heater. I have a gas heater, but you have to have electricity to make the blower go. But I do have a fireplace, and we had a gas start on the fireplace, so we kept the fireplace going. My stove and oven are electric, so we didn't have that. Now I will say, my husband and I were both scouters, scout leaders. For those of you who don't know that terminology, and both of our children were scouts, so we had a little bit of emergency prep experience. We keep a quantity of canned food so we could eat. We had a camp stove that my husband used outside, in the garage to heat up water for coffee.
I did have a camp stove. Yeah. I just didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
It was my ex-husband's.
And and we left the fridge the way it was, and once we got to like day 3, we were afraid that the fridge wasn't even going to be keeping stuff cold enough, so we moved it to the cooler outside because it was still below freezing outside. So
I lost count of how many days. Like it was just. It was just ridiculous. I made that chili last like 4 days.
We were here. We had me, Mark, my niece Ashley, who lived with us at the time, my mother, who was living with us at the time, who has dementia, which I've mentioned before, and then we had our friend Coy. He lived in an apartment across town, and as soon as the electricity started going off, Mark drove over and picked him up and brought him over here so that he could stay warm, because one of his neighbors was sitting in his car in the parking lot with the car running, trying to stay warm because they had no electricity at their apartment complex. So we weren't going to leave him sitting there. So he came over here, and we spent most of our time huddled around the fireplace trying to stay warm,
We were living in that apartment complex, and we didn't have a fireplace to keep warm. There was no fireplace in that apartment. And like similar to Amber's, I don't remember lack of water. Like, I guess we had plenty of bottled water, so that didn't.
Well, your tap
impact me.
probably ran as long as it didn't freeze, so
See,
you wouldn't
like,
you wouldn't have
we
to
We
be.
weren't on a
have-
boil order.
Yeah,
No,
we didn't even have tap. We were on
Right,
a
you
boil
were on a boil
order.
Because
order.
City
But we were
Falls,
not,
Ours
so-
wasn't, but I was just kind of like not wanting to turn on the water because it was so cold. I
Right.
didn't
Yeah.
want to take a bath or anything like
Oh,
that.
heck
you know.
no.
But I felt like we were starving because we didn't have any canned goods. It was like right before payday, so we hadn't gone to the store,
Oh,
and so
right.
I hadn't
Yeah.
like stocked up on stuff. I think we had like 2 cans of SpaghettiOs, so those went pretty quickly, and fortunately we didn't have Raina during that time. So it was just me and Travis, and he still had to work.
Oh yeah,
Because he worked at Walmart, but they also didn't have power, so they were constantly like having like rolling power. So like one day they managed to have enough power to make rotisserie chicken. So I don't know how they managed to do that, but yeah, they had power long enough to do rotisserie chickens. And so he stashed one and bought it at the end of his shift. It was ice cold when he brought it home, but that's what we ate, was this cold chicken. We just ate it out of the
when you're
bag.
hungry, you will eat anything, right?
And I think we pretty much just lived off of peanut butter and graham crackers.
We had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Because we didn't have any
Yeah,
bread.
We
had
did
had
have
a lot of crackers.
like
also,
3 blocks over, is a major intersection for me, and there was a chicken. Not Chicken Express. What is that?
Golden Chick.
Golden Chick.
Yeah.
And Mark went to the Golden Chick because he had a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So he drove over there and
they were open?
they were open.
Oh, wow.
Probably because they're probably on the same line with the hospital.
Maybe.
because there's a hospital up
And
the street.
yeah, that
so,
was just like very lucky. I knew a lot of people that were on the same grid
as a hospital.
as a hospital.
And they did not lose power. So they had power and they were cooking and there was a long line and it was a long wait, but he got us some fried chicken one night. So I won't say that we ate well.
Yeah.
That was probably
Yeah.
the best meal that
Y'all
we had.
were doing better than us.
But we
Yeah.
were doing okay.
I know.
And that's mainly because, like I said, I do keep bread and peanut butter and jelly and we have, cold, canned SpaghettiOs or whatever.
Yeah, I
and
remember eating like a lot of peanut butter.
cereal.
As well,
We have
yeah.
cereal.
Well, and that was the other thing I made the big mistake of. It just didn't even dawn on me. The power went out, so my food in the fridge, I was like, don't open the fridge. You'll let the cold out. And I was just hoping, in 16
it's-
hours they'd turn it back on
Right.
and it would be okay and I'd just throw away the milk,
Right.
But I just kept hoping and praying. And then after like 2 days, I was like, well, we're screwed. Everything in their fridge is trash now.
Well, ours stayed cold enough.
ours didn't. It was apartment complex.
Right.
With,
But we, like I said, what we
Terrible
did
little
was we
fridge.
set a cooler right outside the door.
I know, and
we
that's
put
what
all
I
that
missed
stuff in
out.
there.
I should have just did that
Yeah, and
immediately.
it would've stayed
but
cold,
I don't
yeah.
even think I had a cooler. But I probably could have just stuck it inside my grill.
Oh yeah, you could have stuck it in a box and it would have
Yeah.
because it was
Yeah.
so cold out
It was
there.
it was like in the 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the mistake that I won't ever make ever again.
Right.
I'm gonna go straight to putting my food outside if it's cold.
Yeah.
To preserve it versus letting it sit, because we
you-
had like all this delicious food in the fridge that
Right.
just went to waste, and we're sitting there twiddling our
Right.
thumbs, hungry.
Right. But there's a lot more things to prep, and aside, that was one thing, but here in Texas we have lots of other natural disasters that could affect it as well.
Yeah.
We have extreme heat. We have hurricanes that come up even
Well,
as far this way.
The flooding, the Brazos River flooding that
Right.
happened. Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things to be prepped for. One of the things I'm kind of grateful, our son was an Eagle Scout, and one of the requirements is that they complete the emergency prep merit badge, and they have to make a home emergency prep kit. And there's things in there that you would not think of. And I wish I had a copy of that merit badge in front of me because I would share that with you. But some of the things that I saw in that list were things I never would have thought of. A hard hat.
Yeah.
Of course,
Ah.
you have flashlights, batteries, lanterns, candles, matches, waterproof matches, because
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
there's flooding,
Regular store bought matches won't work if
they get wet.
Yeah.
Duct tape, maps.
Yeah, they have, of course, 3 days worth of water for every person in the house and every pet also. Not only do you have to have food for you, but you need to make sure you have pet food as well. And I know it's a weird and desperate thing, but if you are out of food, you can eat your pet food. It's gross.
I was glad that you added the word food after, because I was like,
Don't
please
eat your
don't
pet,
say
no.
eat your pet. Not
yeah,
that
I thought
hungry.
that's where you were going.
Oh
Also.
no,
I
no, no!
know.
But you could
Yeah,
eat your
you
pet
could
food
eat your
if you were
dog food.
desperate.
Yeah.
But also, other things that they had in that prep list was like a hatchet, a hammer.
Yeah.
Because what if you need to bust out of something falls down, like a
boulder
tree
falls right in front of your front door,
or
yeah.
a tree falls on your house or something like that,
Chop your way out, yeah.
Or
or break the window to get
I
out.
think
or
they
whatever,
had.
yeah.
Let's see. I have a car hammer in my car emergency kit. Like if you get trapped in
flares in your
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, I was going to talk about like that too. Like we're talking about home emergency. I was going to talk about car
what if you're away?
emergency.
But yeah, I mean, blankets, towels. Those are things that are important to have. A sleeping bag or whatever, because we often think of our emergency prep thing. What if there is a civil emergency where you have to evacuate your home?
Yeah.
like either a flood or
So yeah, you need to have a go bag.
a go.
Yes,
well, and
the
that
go bag,
your the boys had to put their emergency prep thing in a tub that you can pick up and carry with you. You know, out the door and put it in your vehicle and leave. So those are important too. And like you were talking about maps, copies of all your important documents like your birth certificate or your passport or ID or whatever, money. People don't think about keeping money.
Passport, ID, like everything.
An
like that.
extra gallon of gasoline, you know. And the thing is when you make a prep kit, it's not just a make it and forget it. It's something that you have to continually rotate the items
because
out.
you don't
'cause
want the stuff to
things-
go bad.
things
The
Right,
go
gasoline
bad,
is
yeah.
no good.
After gasoline goes bad after a time. The food will go bad after a time. Even the bottled water expires. I don't know what. I mean, it could grow things. I guess is what happens. But
The plastic degenerates,
and the
I think, on the bottles.
probably so. So I mean, you know, there's a lot of things to consider when you're making those, and you need to routinely and regularly check for items. But we actually used parts of that kit, you know, because we had like canned spam and canned tuna.
That's what I wished that we had had.
Right.
And whether it was in a go bag or not, it was just shame on me for like eating all the food in the pantry and
not
waiting until the
refreshing.
last minute to
Right.
buy it at the store.
Right.
Because, you know,
You
I
never
had
know.
been, you know, doing it that way. I would just buy only what we were going to eat so that I
Mhm.
could be frugal. But then my frugalness ended up hurting because, you know, sure we had money, but had he not worked at Walmart and we were, because, you know, I wasn't going to drive anywhere. What if
It was scary.
he also couldn't have driven anywhere?
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
nowhere open.
And you,
near
Yeah,
where
and there
you
was
were,
nothing
there
to
was
drive,
nothing
yeah.
near
nothing
you.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they're literally
Yeah.
like the restaurants and stuff were closed. So, because we couldn't even get anything Ubered or walk anywhere.
Mm-mm.
And,
Yeah, we were
That
just
would've been a
very
really
fortunate
long
that one
walk,
chicken
too.
restaurant was open.
yeah.
So.
And
like I said, there were lines long. I mean, like it was like a 45-minute wait to
Yeah.
get your chicken.
yeah.
Because there were so
if
many
it's
people.
the only place
So.
open.
Yeah. And nobody had food because nobody was prepared for something nobody ever thought about the whole entire electrical grid going down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
And-
last time we'd really thought about that was Y2K.
Right. And we thought everybody was crazy for prepping.
Yeah.
Or some of us did, you know, not all of us.
Oh man, my mom was all about prepping. She made sure that, you know, we had water and then the bathtubs were filled and everything like that. She was like
Yeah.
a Y2K prepper.
Yeah. Well, there are people in our family that did too. So, you know, like,
Mhm. Made major home like changes, like
yeah,
find a different home that's more conducive to
Yeah,
homesteading.
they did. They
Yeah.
really did. And they were ready for it, you know, but I mean, obviously they didn't need it, but you know, they did that. So I'm sure where they were, they probably did not run into some of the problems that we ran into. They may have even had generators for all I know, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there were other people that did better than we did, and there were people who did worse than we did. But you know, there's those going back to those other kinds of emergencies. There are things that you can prep for, like cold, you know, but there are things that you really can't prep for, like a tornado. But your best prep is to have a plan, to know what you're going to do if that happens.
Know where you're gonna shelter.
Right.
Yeah.
So because like my house, I do not have a storm shelter for a tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
And you know, so I would have to know where I'm going to go. You know, my plan right now is to go into the closet or the bathroom, you know, and shelter with a mattress over our heads, you know, or something to protect us. So,
Yeah.
which is a valid thing. It's, you know, it's not as safe as a storm shelter, but there's not a storm shelter really close to me. So, so if that happens, that's what we're doing. You know, we're going to the closet or the bathroom with one of the twin mattresses over our heads, you know, and we'll just sit there in the dark and listen to the radio. I mean, that's another thing that should be in your kit is a radio with fresh batteries, because if you don't have electricity, you can't hear the news. And sometimes the phone services go out and the cell service doesn't
Especially
work.
during emergencies because everyone's using their phones.
Right. So have that radio that you can listen to, or we have weather radio scanners. We bought them originally to take to the NASCAR races so we could listen to the cars, but they get the weather channel, so we can listen for
But are they
emergencies.
charged?
Huh?
Are they charged?
Well, and that's the thing. You've got to have fresh batteries. You've got to always rotate those batteries out and stuff. So, when you're doing your prep, that is part of that should be part of your routine, is to go through and change out those batteries routinely. I don't know how long they last. There's probably some recommendations on the internet for how often you should change those batteries, but I know one of the things I have is a flashlight, and we have a crank radio. So you crank it and it gives it power, and then we have a flashlight that you shake it and it gives it power. So even if I have batteries that go bad, I have at least 2 devices that don't require batteries. In case of a fire, do you have an escape route in your home for if there's a fire? Because, chances are you're not going to be able to go out your bedroom door and go to the front door to get out.
Yeah.
Do your children know how to get out of their rooms by themselves? Can you get out your window and go get them out from outside? Do they know how to get out and where to meet you outside? Things like that. Do you have stickers on your windows so the fire department knows you have pets inside? Because if you have those little signs on your windows, then they know to to look out for your pets or try to rescue your pets. There's so many emergency prep things. I mean, we can't obviously even cover everything, but like you're talking about your car, do you have a spare tire in your car? Is it inflated?
Yeah.
Or is it flat?
Because
Because sometimes they leak.
No spare tire, or I had a flat spare tire for the longest time too. And man, that would have been a bummer if I went outside in the cold weather and suddenly had a flat, and then my spare was flat.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have jumper cables in case your battery is dead?
That actually work. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because my brother has jumper cables, but they don't work.
Right. It's got corroded or something,
Yeah.
didn't they? Yeah. And then, do you have, an emergency blanket and flares, and do you have a first aid kit in the car in case you get in a wreck or something?
Yes, but not flares.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of things like that.
Eye scraper, toe strap.
Oh, snowshoes.
Well,
Yeah,
snow chains.
snowshoes.
Yeah.
Out here. Oh, yeah. Snow. Thank you.
Like reflective
shoes.
triangles,
Yes,
flashlight.
Tools, a screwdriver,
Yeah.
a pair of pliers. Because maybe
That's something people don't think about in that go bag, is actually having like actual tools. Because we always just take for granted that the tools are somewhere in your house.
right. Well, and that's one of the things that in that Boy Scout prep thing was, they had to have, I think, a hatchet, a hammer, and a shovel, because if you don't have a latrine,
Yeah,
if
you
your
gotta
toilet's
dig
not
one,
working,
yeah.
you're gonna have to dig.
So this is my conundrum, is I actually have a lot of those things, but they're not in an emergency kit. They're
Right.
in my camping stuff.
Right.
And so it felt weird to take them out of the camping, because when I go camping, then I have to take them out of my emergency
You need
stuff.
duplicates.
Yeah. That's probably the better way
Yeah,
to do
that
it. Is
seems
duplicates.
Because
It is.
I have duplicate
Or-
like things
or just
in my
know
car
that-
and duplicate things in my
So
home.
sorting my camping stuff out a little bit better to having like
Yes.
the strictly camping stuff and then the crossover camping.
Yes, you could do
Yeah,
that.
that
Where
works.
and then keep it with your keep your emergency prep stuff with that crossover stuff. So
Yeah.
so you
'Cause
can
I'd
grab.
probably
You might
keep
have
a
to
lot of my
grab 2
emergency
bins.
stuff. Yeah.
Instead of 1 bin, but you have, by grabbing the one camping stuff that has your shovel and your hatchet and your hammer and your sleeping bag and stuff like that in it, and then having your e-prep that has your food,
Food
and
and
your
water,
water
because I
and
probably
stuff.
wouldn't want to keep that stuff in the garage because
Right.
it's too hot.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could easily do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, currently, my emergency preparedness things are scattered everywhere in the house.
Oh,
Like
mine
the
are
first
too
aid
now.
kit, and
Yeah.
I have like these water bottles that have these special straws and filters inside of
Mhm.
them that filter the water. And they're like currently in my bedroom, and it's like just kind of a weird place for them.
It is a
But I
weird place for
guess
them.
if I was grabbing a go bag and packing, I know exactly where they are, and I'd probably also be grabbing clothes and prescriptions.
Well, and
it's
that's one of
very
the other
close to
things that should be already in your go bag is a pair of clothes that you don't
Mhm.
that you're not going to take out. Now you can make them something that you rotate, like for every month I'm going to change what clothes are in that bag
Mhm.
so that I can still wear that t-shirt and that pair of sweats or whatever, or that pair of jeans. But you're in your go bag, you should have a clean pair of clothes that are dedicated to that go bag or that e-prep bag or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should also have a pair of clothes in your go bag in your car as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I keep like a little go bag thing in my car
Mhm.
as well as.
I mean, it
But-
comes in handy just if somebody spills, you spill your coffee, you're
Yeah,
driving
right,
through,
right.
you're in a wreck and your coffee turns over on you, it's like,
Yeah,
am I
that
going
is
to,
very-
on your way to work and you're stuck in these wet clothes, at least you have something. That's that's part
Yeah, I
of
always-
prepping.
try to have like an extra pair of shoes and
Mhm.
an extra pair of clothes and and like all of that stemmed from another snowstorm
Oh,
that like this was years and years ago that hit like the Vernon area around Christmas time. I was driving to Vernon for Christmas and I got caught in a snowstorm and I couldn't find my scraper to scrape off the windshield, and I was like scraping. I forgot I was scraping the windshield with like a credit card.
yeah, I've heard of
Oh.
that.
And I wasn't like clothing prepared either. I was wearing a pair of like velour sweatpants.
Oh yeah, because a lot of times you think, oh, I'm just going from the car
Yeah.
to the building or the
And
building to the car, right?
I didn't have like and it was just like one of those sudden snowstorms that you don't really prepare for. And I was wearing like Crocs, and velour sweatpants and a little velour jacket. And I had to pull over and scrape a little hole in my windshield for me to see out with my credit card.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I've always like kept stuff like that in my car. And it's funny, just like the things that happen to you that make you, be more aware about these
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, when you think you're prepared, you're not really prepared.
You're never going to be fully prepared.
Yeah.
But the thing is to be as prepared as you can, and then have enough knowledge to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also very, Jason and I are very lucky to have like a always prepared mother-in-law.
Mhm.
And like she'll like occasionally come over. And the last time she came over, she was like, y'all don't have a fire blanket. So she bought us a fire blanket.
Okay.
And before that it was we had a first aid kit, but she had like ordered she went through something and she ordered one of those like tourniquet first aid kits.
Oh yeah.
Those extreme ones for everybody.
The one
in
that
her
has
family.
like the stuff you hope and pray you never have to
Yes.
use.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we didn't have that in our house, but now we have one in each one of our cars. And she got even one for my classroom. So I have one in my classroom, one in our house, one in my car, one in Jason's car. And she just she bought like a case of them and gave them to like all of her friends and everything like
I think
that.
my sister-in-law is that way, I think. And if I'm not mistaken, she had a thing where I think it's called Patriot Meals or Patriot Food or something.
Yeah.
And it's like this little barrel, and it's full of like a month's worth of food or something that you can buy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's
When-
like MRE, you know, Army rations
When
and
I
stuff.
lived up in Utah, those were everywhere. Like every grocery store had, because like Utah, there are a lot of preppers that live up there, and a lot of people that live underground up there. And so I noticed that a lot when I lived up there, that everybody had like one of those big barrel things in their house.
Yeah, it's like a month's worth of food in this one barrel or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't even think they sell those in Texas. They might. I know
you can order them online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can totally get
But
them
you could
online.
probably get them at the Army Navy store too, I would think. or
There's
something
actually
like
a lot
that.
of companies that make those now.
Yeah,
There's,
the reason
You
I
know,
remember that one because
Winco
she
might-
recommended it to me.
Winco might have them because that's where I saw them in Utah. But,
Oh yeah, yeah.
So there's actually a company that one of the podcasts that Scott listens to. I wish I could remember the company name, but they sell like those buckets, and they have different varying buckets.
That's the way these are too. Yeah,
like there's like breakfast ones, and then there's like really simple meals, and then there's more like I want
Elaborate.
gourmet kind of stuff. Yeah,
right.
And like there's one that's just fruits and vegetables kind of stuff, and it's a lot of freeze dried stuff, or you just add water kind of stuff, and it's like a 5-gallon bucket with like a ton of food.
Yeah.
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 Oh wow! So if you go to
They're kind of pricey.
so
but
Bass Pro Shops.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just like looking online, and then there is also it's called mypatriotsupply.com.
I bet that's the one that. you're
And
thinking of.
you
Probably is.
and you can get a 6 months emergency
For like
food
$1,000?
supply for like
Yeah.
$1,599.
6 months of food
Yeah.
for $1,000 is a deal when you think
Yeah.
about how much money you spend on groceries every month to feed 2 to 4 people.
Right.
That's a steal.
There's also one called
and you can still eat that stuff, like just incorporate it
Yeah.
into your meals if it's getting close to expiring, and then buy a new one.
Yeah. There's another one called 4 Patriots, the number 4 Patriots. And that's another one. And I'm looking to see how much that one.
What's
It costs 64 cents a serving.
Cabela's.
And it's a 3-part. It's a
Oh, yeah.
3-month survival kit.
Yeah, Cabela's also has them. They're very similar to Bass Pro Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, there are a lot of. Let's see. There's another website called ReadyWise that sells them. There are quite a few.
There actually are. Yeah, My Patriot Supply is the top rated one on the buyer's guide.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that
then 4
that was
Patriots
like
is the second one. Yeah.
that was like the first thing that popped up, and
ReadyWise is on here.
and you can get different like deals on My Patriot Supply. You can get, like I said, 6 months. You can get 4 weeks. You can get 1 month.
Right. They really are a good deal. I mean, if you think about the cost per, like I said, the 4 Patriots one, it was 64 cents per meal is what you're paying.
Oh, you can get them at Costco as well.
Okay. So that's a good way to prep. Just get your little bucket and have it.
I wish I would have had that, because hot water, I could have figured it out. I could have used cold water to mix the soup or whatever. I would have ate it.
Right. Well, yeah, if you're starving, you don't care how hot or cold it is. You just want to eat.
I would have ate canned peas if I had them.
Right. And the thing, that goes back though too. Also, you had a barbecue grill, so you
have any propane,
right,
or meat to cook on the grill.
Well, I'm not even talking about meat. I'm just talking about, but you could boil water on the grill.
Yeah.
For your food, so
yeah.
And that's the thing about the camping stove that I was talking about. Like, I didn't have any propane to use it, even if I knew how to use it.
Yeah. So that's part of your prep as well, is making sure. And that was one thing Mark was always really good about. So he always had 2 big propane tanks. One was on the grill and had stuff, and the other one was full. and ready to go. So as soon as the one on the grill emptied, he'd put the spare on the grill and then take the other one and get a new refill. And so we always had at least one full propane tank. And that's not even counting our camp stove. He did kind of the same thing with the camp stoves. He had multiple of the small little propane canisters for the camp stove, or he could use the big canister, either way. And then he also had like some different kind of like pellet burner camping, like backpacker stoves and things like that. I think they're tablet. Maybe it's a tablet. But anyway, some of those kind of things. So that was another way to make heat. I mean, yes, you have to go outside to use it because you can't use it in the house. But, a few minutes of the little propane stove sitting on your porch, heating up some water for you could save you a whole lot. So
That that food brand is My Patriot Supply.
yeah.
Their food brand in their kits is called Ready Hour.
Okay.
Yeah, 72-hour kits, 4-week emergency supplies, and multi-month-long food storage buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, same guys
Yep.
making that. So
I think we all three looked at the same ones.
yeah,
so-
there's-
we did,
I've explored their website because
Yeah.
I've thought about it because I measured like the cost of groceries towards that because at first you're like, holy moly, that's a lot of money to invest into it. But it's
when you
only
look at how many-
$1,000. It's only $1,000 for 6 months of food.
Right.
I spend probably $800 a month on
Right.
groceries.
Well, and there's nothing that says you have to buy 6 months of food.
right.
You could buy,
but that kit, yeah.
but there's because they have a 3-month or a 1-month supply. You
Right.
could buy a 1-month supply.
Right, because
And-
6 months is a long time.
Right.
Yeah, that's for like
that's
end
like
of
the
days.
government. The
Yeah.
government collapsed,
Shut
kind
down.
of thing.
Yeah.
So, but if you have, even a week supply of food
Yeah,
is because
much more obtainable
right,
financially.
it's not as expensive
And
as you
again,
think it is.
It's an investment. It's not a waste.
Right. Well, and you don't have to use those kind of things to do it either. You can do it yourself.
Yeah.
You can
Buy
go
white rice, buy beans.
right,
Those
dried
cost
beans,
$1 a pound.
right, rice, beans. It doesn't even have to be white rice. You could do brown rice.
Oh yeah,
Right.
right.
You could buy dehydrated potatoes, other dehydrated food, pastas stay dry. They last a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Canned meats like Spam, canned ham,
Yep. Those last like
dried,
5 years in the can.
jerky, dried beef in a. They used to make the little jar with the dried beef in it.
Yep.
You can do things like that. If you have, if you have a freezer, you can have freezer food. Your freezer meat, you could theoretically thaw out or cook in some way. Even if it's frozen, if you can cook, you can
Yeah.
cook it from frozen.
Yeah.
But just for instant stuff, the canned stuff works great. Especially if you're only talking about 2 or 3 days worth of food, SpaghettiOs, canned soup. Literally, you can eat canned soup right out of the can.
Yeah. Even without the water.
Even
it
without
just
the
won't
water.
Be that great. Yeah.
Right. So there's things like that, and there's a lot of different things like that you can do.
Yeah.
If you have boiling bag, like sous vide meals put away in your freezer, then you can take those out and just dunk them in boiling
and the
water.
smaller they are, the easier they'll be to cook. With
Yes.
The
Well, they're
limited
already
gas
cooked
and-
because you
well, I mean, to heat and thaw.
to heat it, thaw
Yeah,
and heat.
That's what
Yes.
I mean by cooking. Prepare it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Because all you need is boiling water for those. Now, they take up more room than the dehydrated food, but you can also buy. My husband was an avid backpacker, and he learned how to make, backpackers pride themselves in being able to make gourmet meals on the trail out of dehydrated food. And my husband figured out how to make Thai food on the trail. He made yellow curry on the trail out of completely dehydrated foods. Instant rice. He found dehydrated coconut milk. He had the curry powder or the curry mix or whatever.
Yeah.
They used either canned chicken or dehydrated chicken. I don't remember. I don't think it was. They didn't do a whole lot of canned food because cans
Are
take weight.
heavy. Yeah.
Yes. So it was mostly dehydrated stuff, but I ate it before. We took it on a canoe trip, and it was really good. And so he could do like little noodle dishes out of that with dehydrated foods. Baking a cake in a little backpacking. He had a little backpacking stove, and he could bake a little cake in. It was crazy stuff, and it.
Yeah. So if you have a Winco in your area, because when
yeah.
you mentioned all the dried stuff, I was thinking,
or anywhere that has
I could, because
bins.
essentially, like that's one of the things. Like having the excess of cans is also like the storage part makes it hard,
right.
You know, to have like a week's worth.
That's
of
why
SpaghettiOs. That's a lot of cans,
right? But that's why
But-
that Patriot
thing,
foods
because
or
it all
whatever.
fits in the bucket.
Yeah.
But you could build your own too.
You absolutely could.
Every time you go to the grocery store,
you just buy one or two little things to add to it. Right.
adding to the things like
But-
the flour.
But
or
buy
not
the
flour,
things
but
that
the
you
beans and the
already
rice.
use. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Replace,
Having that on
cycle
stock.
them. So
Yeah.
so take the one out of your
Go bag or whatever.
emergency
Yeah.
prep kit and move it to the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
When you run out of flour, you take the flour out of the emergency kit and put it in your pantry and put a new one.
Yeah, I
in
probably
your-
wouldn't have flour in my emergency kit though, but everyone
Well,
wants bread.
I know, right? Just saying. Or oats. You know, you're talking
Yeah.
about your oats. You know, because oats is a quick, easy breakfast, right?
Yeah,
Put a little bit of dehydrated fruit in there. You've got fiber. You've got fruit. You know, you're good. And so, you know, you got your canister of oats or your instant oatmeal or whatever you put in there. And so, you know, you got one in your pantry, you eat all those, you take the one out of the e-prep kit, you put it in the pantry, and you go buy a new one to put in the e-prep kit. So you're not restocking your pantry ever. You're always just restocking the go bag or whatever. And that's how you keep some of that stuff fresh. And so if you're buying things, if you're stocking your food with things that you already use, then it's not going to go bad because you're eating out of it and refilling it. Same thing with the water. If you buy individual bottles of water or gallons of water, use those gallons and then replace the gallons, or buy new gallons and pull the ones out of the kit and put them, you know, to fill your iron or your coffee pot or whatever you do with your bottled water. So,
Yeah. Those are all really great ideas. Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear from our listeners. Like, what do they have in
I
their
know.
go
I
bag?
bet
like,
people-
I want to hear some advice from other people.
I know a lot of people probably have a lot of really good ideas. I'd like to hear some of those too.
Yeah, like, guys, send us an email. Contact us on Facebook, MMC Chat. Let us know what you have in your go bags and what you do to prepare for disasters. We want to hear from other people in the country or even other countries. Like, what are some different things going on?
Right.
Not just Texas.
yeah.
Right. Yep.
So, guys, what are we talking about next week?
Next week we are talking about body grief
Okay.
and
Okay.
what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, that completely different direction there.
I know, we're just all over the place this time, aren't we?
I know, I know. They're usually related a little bit. Okay, guys, well, hit us up on social media. Send us those emails. Like us and share us. Follow us. We'd love to hear from you. Check out the Heard It on the Podcast blog, and we'll have some links to these like little kits you can order on there.
Yep.
Sound good?
I'm excited.
Sounds great.
We'll see you
All
then.
right. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Oh my gosh.